Hello everybody, this is Undead Viking. Here I am with another video review of a board game. The board game in question is Among the Stars from Artipia Games. Artipia Games is, I believe they're based in Greece. I'm not positive on that. I should made in Germany. Well, I'm almost positive. I've talked to the I guess the main publisher guy a few times, and he's sent me copies of their games for review. And he's well, so far 2 for 2 on the games that I've enjoyed. They have Drumroll, which remains one of my more favorite lighthearted worker placement type games. And it's got a great theme of being a circus. And they also did Briefcase, which is a really fun kind of deck building game that reminded me a little bit of, I'm going to totally blank on the name of the game right now. Oh well, it'll come to me. And which I enjoyed. It was, it was a fairly challenging little deck building game that they came out with, and then they came out with this, which was Among the Stars. And I'll be honest, when I read the rules, I immediately said, hey, they made 7 wonders in space. And a lot of people have, I don't want to say disregarded the game for that purpose. I mean, I think a lot of people have a preconceived notion about Among the Stars as to it being kind of a 7 wonders. I hate the word ripoff because that's not that has a negative connotation, but from what I understand, a lot of people and from the comments of my own friends prior to playing the game has been that they kind of just took the whole idea of 7 wonders and transplanted a different theme and kind of built something up. And so I went into it and tried to keep an open mind, and we played it several times. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to play the game, like I always do. And then I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of Among the Stars. And I'll tell you right now, I was pleasantly surprised with this. And this is coming from a guy who has played a ton of 7 Wonders. So, and I had a couple people ask me, they haven't seen this dude in a while. Yeah, my cat knocked it underneath one of my bookcases here. So I do still have Hrothgar the Viking. He just got lost, but you'll see him once again during the gameplay version. So, all right, well, yeah, thanks for the concern about my little dude, and thanks for watching this, and let's go ahead and we'll step into the gameplay of Among the Stars, and then I'll tell you exactly what I think of this game. All right. Okay, before I step into the actual gameplay, I'm just going to show you some components for Among the Stars so you have a better idea of how the game is played. At the beginning of the game, each person will get one of these. I like it when games include these that give you the real basic rules right out in front of you. Each person will get this little card they can have. Tells you exactly what actions you can take in any given turn. Tells you how you score points at the end of the game. And also it's nice enough to tell you the player with the most points is the winner. Oh, thank you for reminding me of that. But anyway, once the game is, you're setting up the game to begin, you will let people either pick or draw randomly from this deck of cardboard races. Each race has different powers. Like this race starts with 13 money at the beginning of each round. The VAC, their main reactor, the location that each person starts with, it counts as every single color, which is important because certain pieces that you'll build for your space station, they'll tell you, check and see how many blue spaces you have, gain points, things like that. These just kind of break the rules in some way and add a little bit of flavor to the game. Here's the humans. At the end of the game, you get points equal to the number of locations of the type you have the least, +1. How very Keynesian of it. But, like maximum +5 points. So it's just something that allows you to affect the game and makes the game a little bit differently for each person, and so you can kind of play off those strengths and try to optimize yourself. So I kind of like this. This is nice, and I like it doing randomly. I don't like people getting to pick what they want every single time. So anyway, each person will get one of those before the game begins. These are objective cards. These are objectives that will be open and available to everybody to see, and this is how people will gain extra bonus points at the end of the game. There are 8 of these. You draw 4, so I'll just grab 4, and then each of these will have fairly basic options like on budget. For 3 points, whoever has the most money in the game gets 3 points. And some of them are like this. Build the most blue locations. It's worth 5 points. Things like that. So you keep those handy. Oh, and like, building the most locations. Not counting, without counting power reactors. X is the difference in the number of locations for the next player. So like if you had 15, the next person had 12, there's 3 different, so it'll be worth 6 points. Things like that. So you put these out. You just put those off to the side so everybody can see what they are, and you can race towards getting those for the bonus points at the end of the game. And there you go. Now this is the deck of cards that you'll be using for the game. And as I said, the cards have different colors, the 5 different colors. Each card will have a price, the number of credits. That you get 10 credits a turn normally, and then it's like this one would cost 5 to build. And then it'll tell you what it affects, and so you can see, and then it'll have, usually down the bottom, it'll have some sort of victory point situation. If the victory point situation is in yellow, it means you won't count it until the end of the game. So for this one, the command center, it's 5 coins to play, and you can see has a 0. But you're like, oh, it's worth 0 points. Oh, but +1 for each blue location in the station. So it's one of those things where, and here it is, says max of 1, so you can only have 1 of these in your thing, and it can be worth a total of possible of 8 points. So if you had 9 blue locations, it's still only worth 8. This little 3 over here means that this card is used for games with 3 or more players. So like if you have 3 or 4, you'd use this card. And so, however, in direct contrast, you'll notice this card. It says Energy Market. It costs 3 coins to build. You notice this is in a yellow background. It says get 1 money for each power reactor in the station. So for every power reactor you have in the station, you immediately get money at a maximum of 3, and it's worth 2 victory points immediately for building it. And so this is not a yellow, so it isn't something you total at the end of the game. Anyway, these cards are cards that are going to be used. I'm like pretending I'm going to be playing a 4-player game. However, before you can begin the game, you have to go to this deck of cards. And all the cards in this deck have this little S on them, meaning that they're like special locations. And they're, this is what kind of prolongs the longevity of the game, due to the fact that you're going to shuffle up this deck, and then you're going to take 6 cards for each player that's playing the game. So that means if I'm playing a 4-player game, I'm going to take 24 of these cards. So I'm just going to 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So here's my 24 extra cards. And I'm going to shuffle these in really quickly. A lot of people don't like these square cards. I don't know, maybe it's because they're tough to find sleeves for, as I'm just crumpling this one up right as I'm playing it. And I can understand that. And they aren't the easiest things in the world to shuffle. I'll fully admit as well. It's definitely a game that you end up having to do, instead of like a ruffle shuffle, which a lot of people cringe to see anyway. You're just kind of doing this to shuffle it. I don't know. I kind of dig it because I like the odd shape of the cards, if you will. But maybe that's just my opinion. Ultimately, I mean, if these were normal sized cards, the game would play pretty much the same anyway. But the reason is the cards are actually being used to build your space station. And so if they were normal sized cards, they wouldn't work really well. And you couldn't make these out of cardboard tiles, because then this thing, it would be much too thick, and the game wouldn't be able to work really. So you may not like the type of cards that they are, but unfortunately, I guess for purely play reasons, you simply have to have them be the way that they are. Each person starts with the main reactor. The main reactor starts with 2 of these little energy cubes that will be used to power different things. I'm just going to ditch the scoring track because I don't really need it at this point. and then you get 10 credits to start. So I'm just the one player I'm playing, and so you have these objectives. I'll go over there real quick, and here's this deck of power reactors that my Viking will be guarding, and the power reactors are reactors that you can build so you can expand out your space station as the game is played. So I'm just gonna deal out some cards here, and this is going to be a little bit weird because you know, I'm not going to really look at each deck. If you're familiar with games with card drafting, the game is all about choosing one card and then handing cards away. So there. And you deal out 6 cards to each person, meaning that you'll be passing the cards 6 times. So I'm just going to kind of put those together. I'm not even going to look at those really, because theoretically the other people at the table are going to be looking at those. And I'm going to look at the cards I have. Now, whenever you start peering at cards, what you have to do is you kind of have to look and see what is useful for you right now and what could be useful later. And so you can see that like a security station, oh, it's worth, you know, 2, but then it'll be worth +2 if I have 4 adjacent locations. That'd be a pretty good card to play, actually, because I could put something around it. Well, that's another security station, so that's weird. Oh, here's a cool one. A turret. It's worth 2 points, but it's worth +1 for every other turret in this station. So if I can get more turrets, this will be worth a lot. Galactic Resort. It's worth 0 right now, but it's worth +1 for each purple location. And finally, Medical Factory. And +1 for each power reactor within 3 spots of the medical facility. Well, I kind of like this idea of the security station. If I can put things all around it, it's going to be worth 4, and it's really cheap too. It only costs 2, and since I'm starting off right here at the beginning, chances are I'm going to be able to build up. So I'm going to pick that as my card, and I'm going to build that on my turn. It's going to cost me 2 money. Now, if I wanted to, you have the option, instead of building, you can choose a card and then put it in the discard pile. And then you get 3 coins for doing so. Or you can choose a card and discard it and build a power reactor instead. And then you can just add a power reactor and add the power. You get another 2 power that you place in this power reactor, and it costs 1. But I didn't do that. I'm going to do that, and then so we're going to hand the cards around. So I'm just going to take the top card off, even though I have no idea what it is in each of these cases. So I hand these cards over here to this player. This player will hand them over to here. This player hands it over here. Now these get to me. And so I'm going to look at these cards and see what I have the options for. Well, see, remember, docking bay, another medical facility. Well, a restaurant, what's that? +1 for every location type in the station. So if I get all of them, but notice it's not, but this is, right now, it isn't yellow, meaning that I'd only get it if, like, I was able to, those are present right now. But I don't have those, which kind of stinks. Docking bay, war room, what's that? It's at the end of the game, +1 for each red location in the game. Well, you know, that's pretty good. Chances are I'm going to get more red locations later. Docking bay. Now, +1. This is where I like the cards like this, where it's a spatial situation. +1 for each location between the docking bay and the main reactor. Too bad I don't have this right now. I didn't have this like in the last turn of the game. You could build this way far away, and you could get the maximum. Is only 4, but it'd be easier to get that. So looking at that, let's build the war room. I choose that, and now I can place it anywhere I want. And I'm going to put it here because I want to start building those little spots around that, and so it'll be worth extra points at the end of the game. Get that over with right now. So, I apologize, I should have spent the 2. So I have 8 right now, 8 money. And then I see this is worth, costs 3. So I paid 3, I got 5 left. So I'll just take this, take that, take that. And I'm guessing you get the gist of how this works. You know, you're handing the cards off, and then when it gets back to you, you're picking your turn. And I was kind of hoping, oh, here we go. I have a card that actually costs a cube. Now, so I'm looking at this. Actually, I should have, the Command Center had one anyway, so I should have mentioned that at the beginning. But regardless, so like here's a council room, but the medical facility also had the cubes. God, I just didn't even notice it. So like, look, if let's say I wanted to build the Command Center this turn. So at the end, it's +1 for each blue location. I already got a blue location already started, so hey, you know, that sounds good. Even though it's going to cost me 5, maybe I'll discard a card next turn and I'll just get that 3 back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it here on my turn. And so that costs me the 5 money, but also since it has to be powered, it has to be within 2 of a reactor. So it's like 1, 2. It's within 2. So then I have to burn up one of these cubes. That is now powering that, and I've used up one of those cubes. Now, when the next turn comes, and just quickly do that, I'll take the top one off. I'm going to be forced to a situation because I have no money. I'm going to look at these cards, and I'm going to say, well, none of these are really all that good. But remember this restaurant, it's worth points for every location. Well, you know, it's like I don't have all the locations anyway. I only have 2 different colors, so I'm going to discard this one on this turn. And so you put it in the discard pile, which will be in the middle, and then you get 3 money for doing so. And those are the 3 different actions you can take. So I'm not going to keep going. I mean, obviously, like the other action is you know, if I wanted to, if I didn't have any more power, I could discard a card. I could have discarded this restaurant. If I had a 1 to build the power reactor, I could have done that. And then I could build that, you know, and then add a power reactor and put 2 more power cubes on there, so I have that available to me. But that's how the game rolls. I mean, it's just like you do that until you've gone through and all the cards have been played of those 6 cards you got. So then you get your 10 money. If you have any money left over, you get to keep it. You get 10 more money, that's your income. And then you deal out 6 more cards. And then you do the same thing, but now you go back the other way. And so you do that 4 turns in a row, and then you finally go into the end game. And when you total up you've scored points during the game, hopefully, if you've been playing cards that give you points. And then what'll happen is that you'll look at the end of game scoring. You check these objectives that we had before. If you've satisfied any of those, you get those points. Then you go ahead and you calculate the points you get from any of the yellow achievements, like, you know, for all the red spots you have, those with points. If you were able to build, say, if you built that, so you surround the security station, you get those points. Those sorts of things, total up all of those. And then you gain 1 for every power reactor that does not contain any of your cubes. So if you have a bunch of power reactors that still have cubes on them, they're not worth anything, but if you manage to get rid of used up all the power, you get a point for all those. And finally, you get 1 for every 3 money you still have left. Then you total up every points, and whoever has the most points, amazingly, as the card tells you, wins the game. So there you go. That's how you play Among the Stars. I really dig it. I like the art. I really enjoy card drafting, and I like trying to outwit my opponents as far as what I think they will want. It's fun to look at everybody on their space station, kind of look and see what they have, and then looking at your cards and trying to make sure you're not giving them something that they like. And then you're also hoping that the person that is about ready to hand you cards has a tough decision. Do they take a card that is really super helpful to them so they build themselves up, but knowing full well that they're going to be handing you a card that is going to help you a lot as well. And then so there's that tough decision for them to make at that time. So there's those sorts of things going on in this game, and it makes this game a lot of fun. And even though it is fairly light as far as the rules go, it is rather deep as far as the gameplay itself. So, well, let me tell you exactly what I think of Among the Stars. Alright, so Among the Stars, what did you think? This game will take you about maybe 5 minutes to teach to somebody, probably even less for somebody who knows how to play any kind of card drafting game like Seven Wonders. Just so you remember, beginning of this introduction, I was like, oh, what's the name of the game? Eminent Domain was the name of that game, and I'd love to say I remembered it, but I actually looked at my game shelf and found it. It's like up here somewhere. Game I still play a lot of. And play Briefcase. But All right, so what do I like about Among the Stars? Okay, precursor this. I played a ton of Seven Wonders when it came out, just like a lot of people. When it came out, everybody was like, "Whoa, this game's awesome!" You know, it's like, yeah, you know, you're trading the cards, and it had its points where like I didn't like a lot of it. I didn't like playing. I know if you've listened to my podcast, and if you haven't, why not? But I mean, if you listen to my podcast, I went off a bit on how I didn't like how certain people would say, "Oh, this game's only good with this number of people playing." You know, it's like, and I got into, if you are familiar with Jesse Dean Anderson, I got into a bit of a tiff with him about the fact that he basically said he would only play Le Havre with 3 people. And, you know, he just, "Oh, I won't play with anymore, I'll just play something else." And I was like, what? That's ridiculous. Just play the game, right? And then I actually experienced a game where I realized that this game really only works with X number of people for me. And what that game was, Seven Wonders. I could really only play Seven Wonders with 3 people. That was just how I got to. I wanted to be able to directly affect the people, other 2 people playing the game, because I wanted to feel like I had some control over it. I mean, at least, and with 4 players, at least I could keep track of what the other person was doing. And I could kind of bark at the other 2 people. And it's like, I'm giving you these cards, but, you know, don't give him the science card, or, you know, whatever. And so you kind of could plot it out. But when you play with 7 people, it's one of those things where, one, you only would see, when you get those cards in your hand, you would never see those cards again. And also, if you have somebody that's just feeding the wrong card over and over and over again to one person, they're just like obliterating you in points. There's nothing you can do, and I didn't really like that about the game. All right. However, that being said, I played the heck out of Seven Wonders, and I really liked it. And I just recently won a tournament of it, you know, here at the local gaming store. So I mean, and I hadn't played it in like almost 9 months. I'm bragging a bit at this point, but I mean, I did do that. I mean, so it's a game I enjoy. I like the mechanics, and so it's no wonder that I'm going to enjoy a game like Among the Stars, which replicates those mechanics really well for me. I mean, yeah, it's card drafting and you're building something, but unlike in Seven Wonders where you're building up your civilization, in Among the Stars what you're doing is you're building that space station. And there's a ton of neat little interesting effects that when you're playing and you're building the space station that I don't have in Seven Wonders, that makes this game different enough for me to be able to enjoy both of them. And as a matter of fact, I've been enjoying Among the Stars, actually, and playing Among the Stars over Seven Wonders more than anything else. And Among the Stars, I guess I like the idea of building my space station. And it's a little bit abstract. Obviously, you have a giant turret next to, you know, a garden, you know, which doesn't make much sense. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like a spatial recognition type of thing, I guess, maybe. And plus the fact that you have to there's that wonderful, interesting choice moments that you have that you find in Some Wonders when you're trying to decide which card you want to pick, but also you have to recognize the fact that once you start moving out and getting bigger, you're going to need to put a power reactor down pretty soon, because you know of cards that are in the deck that you have to use to, you know, that they're going to use up that power. And then nothing stinks more than when you get a card that would work just totally perfectly, and what you want to do, it's this, so it'll give me this many points, and it'll be worth this many points at the end of the game, and you know, it adds all this stuff. Oh, I don't have any freaking power to put it down. I mean, that's those kind of moments in the game that I really enjoy, you know, and so you kind of, and the fact that this game only has 4 players, you kind of have a good idea of, you know, where your card is that you want. So you have that forethought and that planning where you're like, all right, well, I have these 3 cards here in front of me that I want to use all 3 of them. I don't have a power reactor right now, but this one doesn't need a power reactor, but these 2 do. So I'm going to play this one. Bam. There it goes. I'm going to hand these cards to this person. I'm going to watch what that person picks. And then I'm looking, okay, well, he didn't pick either of the 2 cards I want. So I'm going to look at these cards I have in front of me. Do I need any of them? I kind of want this one. Put it down. It gets over to this guy over here. Now I got this decision. I got to watch where he picks. But the thing is, I have to recognize that if he doesn't take, or she, doesn't take one of those 2 cards that I want, one of those cards is going to get back to me. So I need to either take a power reactor now out of the cards in front of me, or I'm going to have my hand forced when those cards, and because they're going to get back to me. And so I like that. I like the fact that I feel smart enough that I've realized, where those cards are that I want, and whether or not they're going to come back to me. And also, it also works in your favor too when you get a bunch of junk cards in your hand. You're looking at them, and like there's one good card of those, and you realize that junk cards are coming, and they're coming back to you. And so, like when you say, well, this card, yeah, it's kind of good, but I know there's nothing good coming to me now, right here, and so it's not going to help me at all. So I might as well just play this card, and then the next turn I'll discard one of those or make a power reactor, and then that's what I'll be doing on that turn. And you kind of lose that a little bit. I mean, you can do that obviously when you play Seven Wonders with, or a smaller group of people, but when you're playing with a large group, you don't have that ability. And this kind of, because of the number of people that are available, kind of forces it. Now, I'm not going to say the game's perfect by any means. There's some parts of it that I don't like so much. I don't like the fact that, you divvy up the deck of cards by, the number of players. So, like, when you have less than 4 players, you have a bunch of, different, like, you take out cards so you don't have a huge deck. However, in Seven Wonders, there was a scaling involved, where 1, 2, and 3, the different ages. And, and that made a sensible progression. The first age was all about, resource collection and having things that allowed you to get stuff. And the second age was all about, giving you that options as far as, better, stuff or getting better things. And then, like, the third age was when you started getting, the different guilds and what have you. But in this game, there isn't that progression. And, it's kind of like, here's all the cards, and if you get one that like if you get to place it right away, and then you get to build off of it and get points by building off of it throughout the rest of the game, then it works really well. But if you get that like towards the end of the game, it doesn't help you at all. I mean, it's just kind of like its usefulness is dramatically altered and changed. Now, I mean, part of me says that's actually really good because, it's like it keeps the game fresh. I can't just always count on the fact that, my hand, the first few hands I get to where I'm picking those cards are always going to be good. And it challenges me as a player, to like say, okay, well, this stinks, but let's see what I can make out of this. Let's see what I can do with this. And so, I know I'm kind of arguing against myself here right now, but part of me wishes there maybe was just a little tiny bit of structure to it, as far as what cards get handed around and what cards you get in those first that first round or whatever. But part of me says that's okay though that it isn't, because it makes me be a better player of the game. So so it's like a complaint on my side, but it really isn't. But I know that some of you that are watching this video, that might be important to you, and so that's why I wanted to make sure that you knew what was going on. I really dig the different abilities of each person. They're just different enough to make a difference, but none of them are unbalancing. A couple people in my group kind of thought that it was just kind of like, whatever. They didn't really think they were really anything. But I kind of dug it, and at the very least, I mean, it helps with the immersion into the theme as well, without being disruptive. So I did like that as well. And I mean, as far as like the whole presentation of the game and the looks, I mean, I really liked it, and I really dug the game a lot. And it's definitely a lighter to medium weight level of game, and I've definitely introduced it to a lot of people as like their first real game at my local gaming store. First weekend of every month is their gaming night, and I've kind of been going to that on a regular basis, trying to promote the hobby a little bit, and it's gone over really well with people that are like new to this sort of hobby, and that's really enjoyable. So if you're looking for something maybe as a semi-gateway game, it might be something that'll work for you as far as that goes as well. But there you go. That is Among the Stars from Artipia Games. If you have any questions or concerns, by all means, leave those as always. I'll answer those to the best of my ability. And until next time, this was Undead Viking. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and you have yourself an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.